Hi guys, it is Fightsci here with yet another video. Today we're talking about yet another blockbuster fight, Benavidez and Andrade. Let's break it down. Now, how we got here. Essentially, I remember hearing about this fight over the summer, about how they were like assembling a contract, but things didn't finally materialize until early October. More than likely, Andre didn't like the money he was getting at first, and eventually they came to an agreement. And now we're here. The trajectory of both guys' careers. Now, this is probably the most important part of the introduction. Andrade is more on the downslope of his career. If you don't know who Demetrius Andrade is, he's basically a 2008 U.S. Olympian. He's a two-division champ, and he's probably most well known for, other than his boxing skills, out of the ring, for having a beef with Canelo. And the winner of this fight is going to fight Canelo. The WBC has mandated. Benavidez, on the other hand, is on the his career is looking like it's on the up and up. He's in his prime. People are saying that he's, other than maybe Dimitri Bivol, is Canelo's biggest challenge, and this fight will determine who fights him next at 168. WBC has made no bones about it. They said whoever wins this fight, hopefully they actually follow their rules for once, but they said whoever wins this fight is going to fight for Canelo's 4 straps. Specifically the WBC. Now, time for the fight break. We'll start with Andrade's part first, since you guys are less familiar with him and I've never covered him on my channel before. Andrade gains advantageous positioning by disengaging. He sees someone doesn't have their feet set and moves laterally and attacks. Basically, it's like a foot trap kind of thing, which often knocks his opponents down or off balance. If his opponents aren't careful or have bad footwork, they'll get hit with power punches regardless of their guard. Andre can fight on the inside as well, but would likely be overwhelmed by David's size, controls, and power, as well as varying punch combos. Andre often slips to the back leg when distance is covered, a mistake that can lead to him getting clipped by backhands. Right in the line of fire of Benavidez' straight right. Disengagement trap. Andrade has to be careful about circling to Benavidez' right, as he would be walking right in his lead hook. Benavidez uses a high guard, somewhat active, but Andrade uses blinders and probes to manipulate. Andrade can turn Benavidez and manipulate his guard so that his feet never get set. Benavidez often steps into range with a single jab. Andrade has great jab defense as well as great jab counters. Andrade sometimes mistimes the manipulation of the high guard. Andrade constantly feinting the level change, so Op doesn't know whether he will attack to the body or head. Andrade jabs to the lead hand, so Op can't properly get jab off, and Andrade gets his offense off better. Andrade moves diagonally right forward as opposed to circling to that side usually. It's completely cut off Op's strong side and not allow Op to offset Drade's own offense. Drade breaks his base and puts his lead foot back when clipped coming forward, better than cross-stepping. Andrade's footwork is better than most. A lot of people make that mistake when cross-stepping. Loma makes that mistake. He has some of the best footwork the modern generation has ever seen, so that's a big deal. Drade frames and turns his op, something he can do against Benavidez, occupy his guard and offset his offense. Andrade circles right in a slight forward shift as to get that same kind of diagonal angle without directly getting the diagonal angle. Andrade's punch technique may be an issue in a fight with Benavidez. Against a lesser opponent, he whiffed an overhand hook that could have cost him. He could have got clipped by a check left hook from Benavidez. Drade probes with his guard and disengages. Op does a forward shuffle feint. Benavidez often does this move, something Drade needs to watch out for. He spins Op 180 degrees with a head frame, and puts his back adjacent to the ropes to get him into bad position, something he can totally manipulate against Benavidez, who has footwork issues. Attacks again with a disengagement trap when feet aren't set and goes to work. However, his punch form isn't great when he thinks he has a guy hurt. Wide step in and lands left cross. Drade can cover distance very quickly. Throws left hand, stance wide, plus squared up. Not good for his balance at all. Drade leans his head too much over the front foot in the orthodox stance. Andrade does a pre-slip, but it's more to the outside of the op. Drade sometimes overextends with left hand and breaks stance. Jabs when ops. Feet aren't set, triples up the jab and circles to ops right. Drade moves to the C slot and leaves his head there, then lands 2 overhand lefts, however keeps his head in this spot and gets clipped a few times. Backhand frame from Drade. Good frame from Drade. He can fight on the inside, but it's not his forte. Drade good at throwing the straight left to the body. Drade throws outside lead uppercut, something he's absolutely not going to want to do with Benavidez. Simple 1-2, 1-2-3 combos is all he's going to want to throw. Drade feints the left cross and moves left as to get more leverage on his lead. Outside uppercut and on his jab as well. Op crosswalks in the range, something Benavidez does. Andrade can clip him with 1-2 to knock him down. Drade slips and pivots, close quarters on op. Lands left uppercut and left hook. Nice frame from Drade to move op out of inside position where he wants to be. Step around pivot from Drade, moves op onto ropes. Andrade does direction feint, but his range is messed up and gets clipped. Drade deals with high guard and jab dust by jabbing to the guard and keeping op's vision occupied with his jab. Now time for Benavidez' part. Benavidez usually uses high guard when he gets to that inside range to receive return fire. Benavidez often reaches with his backhand and lifts his back foot completely off the ground into a squared position. Benavidez crosswalks in the range, breaking his stance habitually. Benavidez walks back foot first in the range and gathers his feet whilst in range. Benavidez also steps in squared. However, Benavidez does have a solid high guard where if he can get in on the inside, and he often does, he can use controls and foot positioning and shortens up shots to make Andrade's life a whole lot harder. Benavidez can make Andrade waste stamina by moving laterally. If he tries to clinch Benavidez has a great inside and clinch game. Benavidez can catch Andrade circle jabbing, right, due to low guard or before and after initiating offense. Good offensive lateral movement. He has some of the best offensive lateral movement in boxing, Benavidez. Physical controls, lead hand control, lead active high guard. He feints his right hand very well. Vicious body assault. Jab is very good when he finds a rhythm. Benavidez good at shortening shots on the inside. And this part is very important because Benavidez has fought guys in the past that are similar to Andrade or make similar mistakes to him. Jaleon Love slips to his front foot, which is what Andrade does in the southpaw stance, but to his back foot. Benavidez starts to probe right hand when Love slips to his left to gauge his reaction. Will be important later. Benavidez has a decent high guard, picking and parrying shots as well as using shield blocks and picks as to not get hit. Benavidez is picking up on a pattern. Jaleon is slipping to his front foot. He begins to clip him with straight rights in the open stance. It would be Andrade's back foot. Andrade, as I mentioned before, constantly slipping to that back foot. He's definitely going to be doing it against Benavidez. More than likely how Benavidez is going to knock him out. Benavidez picks off body shot, then lands shot of zone, continuously clipping him with straight rights. Benavidez is front foot heavy, coming back foot first. Love pushes him off balance with hand frame, something Andrade can take advantage of, but at the same time, though, Benavidez' opponents try the trick to push him off balance when he's front foot heavy. They frequently mess it up like Drade. It's not as useful against him as someone like a Canelo, like how Bivol did it. Benavidez rocks Love with a left hook, probes right hand, then lands left hook again. Stand shift around to land 3 left hooks in a row. Good move from Benavidez. Even though it is the closed stance, Love makes the same habitual mistake of slipping to his left or back foot for Andrade when getting probed by his op with the right hand, as I said before. Benavidez very good at the forward stance shift. Benavidez finally notices Love habitually slipping to his front foot, tries to probe with the right hand, and starts lining him up continuously with straight rights and left hook. Probes one last time and knocks him out with a straight right. Probes with lead hand, leans a bit too much over his front foot when throwing jab. He gets a bit too low, widens stance and uses wide step to cut off. Lateral movement, level change into a wide sideways step to cut off ring, shuffled sideways on op. Decent pull by Benavidez, decent sideways shift from Benavidez. Benavidez measures distance and lands 1-2. Benavidez somewhat cognizant of his footwork issues. Every time Chiron attacks when Benavidez gets into range, he makes sure feet are set. The way he widens stances isn't always necessarily a mistake. He frequently cuts off exits and uses less energy to cut off ring laterally. As I said before, his lateral movement's elite, or at least his offensive lateral movement. Benavidez slips to the inside to throw straight right, eventually lands right, straight right. D-slot slip into range to move head off center line and cut distance better. Switches southpaw briefly and lands vicious right hooks to the body. Leans way over the front foot with jab to the body and gets clipped for it. Gazelle jab from Benavidez. Benavidez switches to southpaw to land right hook upstairs, get better angle on op, something he will almost definitely do against Andrade, to not have to deal with jab, joust, and outside foot positioning. Switches southpaw and lands straight right, constantly getting himself into better positioning. Arm frame finally works on Benavidez to push him off bounce, however too little too late for Chiron Davis. Frames and lands left hook to the body from Benavidez, head frame from Benavidez, and throws left hook to the body of Davis. Benavidez makes a lot of mistakes with his footwork, but the things he does well, he does really well, mainly moving offensive laterally, cutting off the ring, and switching to southpaw to get better angles. Final thoughts. On paper, this fight seems like a 50-50. However, for the reasons I listed, I do not think so. Maybe it's true some people ducked Andrade, but the fact it took this long for him to fight a real named opponent will do more to hurt him than help him. Benavidez by stoppage rounds 7 through 12 or 12-round beating. This is Fightsci signing out.